the very core of your company is its ability to influence the target market that you're going at. And it's much like a business plan in the sense that it's more of a roadmap, but it's also more of a way to protect the values and principles that your brand stands for. Because it's easy to lose sight of that. And for us, we use a methodology called Activate. And it's 8 principles that our brand has to live by. And I don't want you to look at this as, oh, these are these rigid rules. But you obviously have built a brand to mean something to your audience. And you don't want to lose sight of that. And these frameworks are really about principles that adhere to not only what you want to stand for, but how you want to interact with your customer. So think of it as a guidance system with a little bit of wiggle room to be able to move about and be flexible and be able to adapt to changing market trends and things like that, and be agile when you need to be agile. And we have 8 of them that I want to talk to you about, and yours might be different, but these pretty much encompass what we want to adhere to as a brand. Number 1 is authority. You know, I think that authority is the cornerstone of most businesses. And building authority comes from building expertise and building successes and building things like that that allow people to look at you in a more aspirational way as this person knows more than me, so I need to learn. So we really try to put effort into becoming experts in our business because we understand that that's how people engage in what you're talking about. We also know that you have to have some sort of cause. And this doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a philanthropic company that, you know, gives to people in need or anything like that. But this has to be something that is taking your customer and transcending them from one place to another. And once you can get to that point and understand that with your own brand and what that means for your own brand, then that's where the great experience produces outspoken brand evangelists and advocates. And number 3, and I think this is just extremely important because commitment goes a long way. We know this in our personal lives that once we feel somebody is committed to us, there's a level of trust there that we gain. And commitment is really about living and acting and standing by everything that you say you're going to stand by. And this is something that you have to practice, and it has to become a consistent routine in every level of your branding methodology. And reciprocity. We know we're all in this, you got to give to get, and focus giving to people to take action. But I love this quote here by Mr. Churchill because it says it all. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And giving is not a devalued proposition. It's about giving something of extreme value in order to get. And that's hard for most people to think about because it's, you know, you tend to think of anything that you're giving for free is maybe a watered down version of something that you'll get in the future. And now it's just the opposite. It's about giving something of extreme value. So you build trust and you build expertise and authority. So once you've established that, now the customer is ready to give back to you. Social proof. People often use behavior of others to help them decide on how to act. And social proof it's easy in some respects and hard in others, depending on what type of business that you have. But most of it is about understanding that there is the possibility that I can achieve this or get to this place or even get to an understanding of where a certain concept is going. Once there's that belief system there, and then that you actually see hard evidence that it can happen, that allows people to bridge the gap of possibilities and non-possibilities. And urgency. This is one that most people, and I throw us in there as well sometimes, because when we say we want to talk about creating urgency, it's not about getting somebody to buy something and ramming it down their throats. It's about understanding what the customer wants and show them that we are in this together. This is a shared value that we have in common, and I need you to act to get you to a better place in life. And that's hard to understand sometimes because we're in the products and services business. So think of urgency as a shared idea, not a one-way idea. And number 7 is about destination. And it's about, create a place of trust that goes beyond the direct business. And this is trust in the mind. This is about being above the clutter and noise. And the only way that you can do that, and I talked about this in the previous module, is that you have to understand how to speak to the customer in a very unique way. Because once you hit them in that unique way, now they remember you, and that's half the battle, is just remembering you after, they come in contact with your brand or come in contact with you, is understanding that unique voice. And you can get to that destination because it's not always about the destination being a physical property or a website, because we forget those. We see a million of those every day, and 90% of them we don't even remember. So, understand the unique message, because that is the bridge into getting to a destination in the psyche and mindset of your customer. And then 8, social currency. And this one has a lot of value in today's marketplace because this sentence says it all. If your presence can't add value to my life, your absence will make no difference. And that just simply says, if what you share says something about how much you value it. And that is a critical idea to understand, because a lot of times we think we're sharing things of value and then it disappears within a week. So some things are all about like just buzz, but social currency is about, is this valuable enough for me to pass it along to somebody else? And that's something that you have to devise. You have to think about that, because social currency is basically a glamorized word for word of mouth. And that is the strongest current that you can make if you're able to build value that is shareable. So these are the 8 principles that we live by. And at some point, you should come up with your own 8 principles, or maybe it's 7. It just depends on what you want to live your life by with regard to your brand. And I challenge you to come up with a short list, because I think coming out with a big list just becomes overwhelming. Do something you can achieve. And then if you feel there's more things you want to stand for with your customer, then you can add those in. But get the core ones aligned correctly first, and then get out there and try to find other areas that you can be meaningful to the customer. Again, I hope you enjoyed this module. I've enjoyed actually doing all these different modules because it's given me a chance to learn a lot of things myself by going through the process. And as I always say in my post, work hard, work smart, and stay hungry.